conversation.
What
So
did I
I'd love
ask
to
you
know.
just now? I asked you a question.
You asked if I was bipolar.
It's not a game. This is my life. This is my life.
So the show Love is Blind provides a roller coaster of ups and downs as couples who get engaged after not seeing each other for several days try to establish a marriage relationship in warp speed. The unique thing about the show is that it shines a light and puts a magnifying glass on very real issues and questions that everyday people face in relationships in the real world. So what we're going to do is highlight key hurdles, takeaways, and themes that you might have missed from the cast in season 3. Now, these are all things that you should consider, especially if you are desiring marriage or considering marriage at some point in life.
The first key takeaway comes from two men in the group, Matt and Cole.
So I actually was in a 10-year relationship. We actually got married when we were 18, got divorced when we were about 24 years old. So I just felt hopeless. And it put a lot of walls up for me.
I've been married and divorced before. We were only married for 4.5 months, filed for divorce, and that was the end of it.
And the key takeaway here is to not see marriage as a rebound for a failed relationship. I mean, when you think about their situation, both coming from a divorce, it's easy to see where their unhealed trauma surfaced as they were trying to navigate through their new relationships. You could tell that they had a desire for marriage, but they obviously had not taken enough time to try to reconcile what they'd experienced, right? Matt specifically, I mean, I know even though at the time of filming, Matt and Colleen, his now wife, are still together, what were your thoughts as you saw them navigating through those challenges?
Yeah, well, obviously you can tell he still had some things that he was dealing with or still needed to be dealt with from his past marriage that started to project themselves into his current relationship.
Yeah.
You know, that's something that happens to people in just the everyday world.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes we've gone through past relationships or even past marriages, and, you know, we might not have taken the time needed to process through those traumas, and then those insecurities and those traumas start to reveal themselves when we're with the next person because we didn't do the maybe some of the personal work that was needed. You know, it's just kind of that reminder that some things just take time to heal and that it's important to let that happen before you jump into something else.
Right, exactly. And I mean, even when you think about Cole and his situation, I don't know if you caught it, but when he was talking about his marriage previously, he said that they got married really fast.
Yeah.
He said it was a whirlwind of love. They came in, they were married, and got divorced shortly after, like just a few months. And it makes sense that if that was his pathway, it was very emotional, right? You saw the ups and downs of his and Zanab's relationship. Like that was what he was carrying because, like you said, he didn't take that moment to reset and really focus so that he could actually break that cycle. So again, key takeaway here is to not allow your past experiences to flow into your present experiences. If you have undealt trauma from those previous relationships and not enough time has passed before you definitely feel ready to commit, don't do it.
Don't jump from relationship to relationship, especially not from marriage to marriage too quickly. Respect the fact that sometimes you just need some time before you're ready to really move on.
Yeah, marriage is not a game.
So ain't. And so the second takeaway comes from this.
It's human nature of me to say, looks matter. Everything matters here.
Now, Bartise was obviously not a fan favorite in this season of the show. And despite what we might think or what any person thinks of Bartise or how he handled things with Nancy, his statement here really does bring up a very interesting question worth considering. Do looks matter? To some extent, they certainly play a role within the overall attraction between two people. However, it does come with a couple caveats here. The first is physical attraction is purely subjective, right? What someone thinks is attractive in someone else is going to differ from person to person. What someone's preferences are in terms of looks. It's also worth noting that physical attraction isn't based just on someone's looks alone, even though looks can and do play a role within that. Men and women both cite often that there are more intangible things that play a role within how attracted they are to someone, like personality or what their values are. Do they have humor? Are they, you know, driven? Things like that.
Yeah.
That actually brings me to the second caveat, and it's the fact that your connection with someone shouldn't just be based on looks and physical attraction alone.
Yeah.
Because if your relationship is only based on that, if it's just based on looks or the physical or sexual connection, then as soon as those things aren't satisfying you, then you're just gonna find a reason to leave.
Yep.
Physical beauty alone is vain. And I think what's interesting is that this was something that Bartise actually admitted to on the show. He actually said that, sometimes he ends up just losing interest in someone, and it obviously reflects on the fact of where he's placing his priorities in terms of finding a person, but I think it's worth pointing that out.
In addition to that, he also admitted that he felt deflated when he shared pictures of Nancy with his friends. That affected how attracted he was to her. Right? And yes, we desire the approval of others, but I think it's important if you're looking to step into a marriage that you're able to take out that outside noise. People are always going to have opinions about your marriage, about your significant other, about what you're doing, but are you committed to one another? Are you committed to the path you set out to do together? And if so, keep running that race,
Right, exactly. And so again, final key here is, do looks matter? Well, yes, of course they matter to a healthy extent. However, your relationship or your marriage shouldn't just be based on a physical connection alone. It needs to have more of a foundation and more that it is built upon in order for it to last. But would love to know what you all think. Do looks matter in terms of finding and choosing a spouse? And if so, how much do they matter? We would love to know in the comments below.
And the next takeaway comes from this.
My husband's out here.
I cannot wait for our big day to come.
I really am looking forward to this wedding day.
I'll go wedding dress shopping.
Tell me you still want to go through with this marriage.
I do want to go through with it.
This saying has been fairly popular among all the various couples in the group. They continually say, I want to be married.
Right.
I want to be married.
It's the work.
But it's like, are you more in love with the idea of being married, or are you truly ready for marriage? Are you ready for the lifetime commitment that is necessary to sustain a healthy and thriving marriage?
That's good.
And I think when a lot of times, especially when you're working on impulse, there hasn't been a lot of time that's passed, a lot of emotions involved, you're thinking that wedding day. I just want to get them to be able to say yes on this day. That's all you can see. It's like that you're blind to what happens beyond the wedding day. And we've talked about this in other discussions we've had, is that it is so important for anyone that's stepping into marriage to truly do some of that work and communication and making sure your values align and talking about what will our goals in life be 5, 10, 20 years from now? How do we want to raise our family? All of those questions, finances, should be hashed out, at least starting to be hashed out, right, before stepping into marriage.
Right, and what it really does is it shines a light on what's so prevalent in our society, right? We put marriage on this big pedestal, and it's something that in a lot of ways we kind of idolize. I mean, think about it. Think about the wedding industry and just how big it is. And, you have all of these shows like Love is Blind or Married at First Sight or Say Yes to the Dress. In some ways, it comes from an understandable place, right? That we as people, we want companionship. We desire relationship, lifelong relationship and love. And those things are okay in and of themselves. It's understandable. Yet it's when we begin to elevate marriage in such a way that we're just in love with the idea of that without realizing, hey, you're actually going to be with this person, committing to this person with the rest of your life. And so it's a matter of remembering that you're committing to a person and not just a state of being. Like you said, it takes work, and you got to make sure that you choose your spouse wisely, right?
Yeah.
With that said.
Exactly. And the fifth takeaway is from this convo with Nancy and Bartise.
My money will be your money. That's the way I see it. It's our money together. We make $200,000. You got a bonus. We got a bonus.
The key takeaway here is the concept in marriage that what's mine is yours, what's yours is mine. I feel like it takes a certain maturity to get to that point, and Nancy being financially well established, having multiple real estate, homes and businesses, and she was just at a different place in life. But I think that mentality is a very good mindset to have going into marriage. But you do need to be able to have someone that can reciprocate that same type of support.
Right. The fact that she was willing to do that, even though their relationship didn't work out, I think speaks volumes to her character. And I think it also speaks a lot of volumes to the impact that combining your finances can have, not only on on just your family legacy, but on your marital satisfaction. And there is actually research that helps back that up. I mean, she could have easily been like, nah, I'm not gonna let you have any of this, but she was like, no, like, I believe that my money is our money and this will be for our family and our children. I mean, that really does say a whole lot.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like you're saying, it's trust, and there are so many financial benefits to stepping into marriage, understanding that you're going to share those incomes and share support and dreams along the way.
Right. And so you might be wondering, well, should I combine my finances with my spouse in marriage? So we have a video where we break down the pros and cons of each option right here in the top right. So click on that video to check that out, and we'll see you over there.